The cafe on the corner of a sleepy street in New Tokyo was a refuge for Clara Kuroda. At 17, she preferred the hum of whispered conversations and the hiss of espresso machines to the chaos of school hallways. It was her sanctuary, a place to sketch in her battered notebook and sip caramel lattes. Today, as the autumn rain streaked the windows, she noticed someone unusual at the farthest table. He was tall and lithe, his skin an iridescent blue that shimmered subtly under the warm cafe lights. His eyes, large and multifaceted like a dragonfly's, scanned the room with a calm detachment. Most strikingly, he was dressed impeccably in what appeared to be a blend of a tuxedo and a spacesuit, complete with glowing threads running along the seams. Clara blinked. Aliens weren't unheard of. Earth had been part of the intergalactic concord for decades. But they rarely frequented humble, tucked-away places like this cafe. The alien looked up and caught her gaze. To her surprise, he smiled, a subtle curling of lips that seemed more human than she expected. Embarrassed, Clara quickly looked back at her sketchbook, but it was too late. Moments later, the alien approached her table, holding a steaming cup of tea that emitted a faint lavender glow. "May I sit here?" he asked in a voice that resonated like a soft, melodic chord. Clara hesitated, then nodded. "Sure." He sat down gracefully, folding his long fingers around the cup. "You were staring. Am I that unusual?" Clara flushed. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. It's just you don't see many aliens here." The alien chuckled softly. "Understandable. My kind doesn't often visit cafes." He paused, tilting his head. "You seem different." Clara raised an eyebrow. "Different how?" He gestured toward her notebook. "You observe the world closely. You sketch its essence. That is uncommon." Clara glanced at her messy drawings, faces, landscapes, a half-finished doodle of a cat, and felt a flicker of pride. "I guess it's just a hobby." "Not just," he corrected gently. "Art is a window to the soul." They chatted for an hour, then two. The alien introduced himself as Zaryon, claiming to be a traveler fascinated by human culture. Clara found his curiosity endearing. He asked about everything: why humans drank coffee, why they loved sunsets, and why they told stories. She, in turn, peppered him with questions about his homeworld, a place he described as a symphony of crystal cities and star-filled skies. Over the next few weeks, Zaryon became a regular at the cafe, always gravitating toward Clara's table. They talked about art, philosophy, and the peculiarities of life in the galaxy. She found his insights profound, his laughter contagious. Despite his alienness, he felt familiar, like an old friend she'd just met. One evening, as they shared a plate of pastries, Clara noticed a flicker of unease in Zaryon's expression. "Something wrong?" she asked. He hesitated. "Clara, what would you do if someone you trusted wasn't who they seemed?" Clara frowned. "That depends. Are they dangerous?" Zaryon looked away. "Not intentionally." "Then I'd probably give them the benefit of the doubt," she said. "Everyone has secrets." Zaryon's gaze softened. "You are wiser than your years suggest." Before Clara could respond, the cafe door burst open. A group of armored beings, humanoid but clearly not human, strode in. Their leader, a towering figure with a metallic crest, scanned the room and fixed his glowing eyes on Zaryon. "Your Highness," the leader said, bowing deeply. "We've found you at last." Clara's jaw dropped. "Your Highness?" Zaryon sighed and stood, his posture suddenly regal. The casual traveler she'd known was gone, replaced by someone commanding. "Clara," he began, "I am Zaryon Voros, sovereign of the Galactic Dominion." Clara stared, her mind reeling. "You're a king? An emperor?" "Technically," he corrected with a faint smile. "But titles are unimportant." "Not when you've been hiding them," she shot back. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I wanted you to know me as I am," Zaryon said. "Not as a ruler burdened by politics and power." The armored beings waited patiently, clearly used to their leader's whims. Clara, meanwhile, was struggling to process the revelation. Finally, she exhaled and crossed her arms. "So what now? Are you leaving?" Zaryon's expression turned somber. "I must. My people need me. But I will never forget our conversations, Clara. You've reminded me of the beauty in simplicity, in connection. Clara felt a pang of sadness, but managed to smile. Well, Your Majesty, if you're ever in town, you know where to find me. Zaryon bowed his head, a gesture of deep respect. Until we meet again, my friend. With that, he turned and followed his entourage out into the night, leaving Clara alone at the table. For a long time, she stared at the empty seat across from her, feeling a strange mixture of loss and hope. The next morning, she found a small, glowing crystal on her table, a gift from Zaryon. When she touched it, it projected a message in his melodic voice. Clara, thank you for the lattes, the laughter, and the lessons. May your art continue to inspire. Yours, Zaryon. Smiling, Clara pocketed the crystal. The universe suddenly felt much bigger, and yet somehow a little smaller too.